Wow.
Good.
Mancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Hare Krishna. I would like to welcome everyone for our session today on this wonderful topic of reliving the memories of His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu. Krishna finds greatest pleasure when a devotee glorifies another devotee. In fact, Krishna has said many times that if you call yourself a devotee but don't glorify my devotees, then you're not my devotee. Krishna is very happy when one glorifies his devotee, and that is very easy way to please Sri Krishna. So, on this session, on the series of our sessions that we are having on glorifying Pankajanghri Prabhu, today we are very happy and very fortunate to have a very special speaker among us. We are having His Grace, His Holiness Kavichandra Swami Maharaj with us. Kavichandra Swami Maharaj met the Hare Krishna devotees, the ISKCON devotees, in the year 1967, and he was initiated by Srila Prabhupada in the year 1971. In 1982, Kavichandra Maharaj received sannyas, and in 1987, he has started serving as a GVC member. We, as Mayapur devotees, are very fortunate to get Maharaj's association every year during the wonderful Gaura Purnima festival. And Maharaj is a very important part of our Navadip Mandal Parikrama as well as the amazing Shantipur festival. And we are very happy and fortunate and very thankful to Maharaj for coming to the session and sharing he's going to share his wonderful memories with His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu. Hare Krishna Maharaj,
Yeah.
welcome to our session.
Thank you.
So, Maharaj, you are in ISKCON for such a long time and you have been coming to Mayapur regularly. Would you like to please share with us the first time? How did you meet the two brothers, His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu and Janivas Prabhu? And how was your first association with them?
Actually, I have no idea exactly. It just, we were meeting so often, different for different ways. I don't know exactly. Just, I don't have any distinct memory of the first time. Uh, could have been on Perkama because they were always on the Perkama from the very beginning. But, somehow we just meet regularly. That's all I guess. I don't have, I always was kind of like awe of reverence for them. But they're always very humble and nice. So I have no idea when the first time. I'll keep the diary. Okay.
Okay. So, in all these years, what was you must have had a lot of interaction with both the Prabhus, especially in the Parikrama or even in the Shantipur festival, or whenever you come to Mayapur, because they're always there in the temple. So, do you remember even in the Bhagavatam classes? I have personally seen many times after the class, you all have discussions. So, during those times, if you remember any wonderful incidents that you had with the Prabhus or with Pankajangri Prabhu, either in aspect of the Bhagavatam class or during the Parikrama.
Most of we may have a little talk in the temple. Mostly we just relaxed talk. But on the Parikrama, of course, first it was just a regular Navadvip Parikrama, for everybody. And the Gaura Purnima time, they were always there. So, we were always speakers. We were always coming close together. Pankajanghri was always taking care of Gaura Nitai whenever, he didn't travel, he didn't stay out because they would join, I don't know what time, because they had their duties at the temple. But whenever we stopped to speak, and he would always make sure Gaura Nitai had the coconuts and offered to them. And, he was just, that was the way he was. I never knew for sure which one was which, but both of them, they were very, very attentive always to the deity. And they were very humble, so they weren't like speaking that much on the big Navadvip Parikama. In fact, in the very beginning, I don't remember if they even came, but later they were always there and just making sure everything was going on. Then when we started this Kartik Parikama, then they were there all the time, and I was there all the time, and there wasn't so many other sannyasis there, so many other speakers. So then we had a lot of association and riding in the car all together all day, trying to chant chapel, things like that. So there we were quite close. On the Navadvip Parikama with Pankajanghri, more than once I wrote this. After, I think it was from Navadvip town, from the Dhameshwar temple, when we went back to the camp, which is pretty far. Most of the devotees go ahead, and so we just were with the cart, with the speakers and the microphone, and we just did kirtan together back and forth. That was especially ecstatic. A few devotees maybe were around, but not so many, mostly just the two of them. All the way back to the camp, just chanting. I'm not sure who was leading and who was following. Another time, the same thing from Rudradvip to Bel Kapoor. That was the same thing. We were towards the end, and we had the speaker cart, and we just were chanting like that with the kirtan. At that time, Jai Patel Kumar, he was watching, and he said, "Yes, no, very good." That's it's an Indian joke you might have heard about the guy who he only knew 3 words of English. Anyway, that was very nice. So, we'd take prasadam together, different things. For many years, I would always try to do the artik for Lord Nrsingadev with the greeting of the deities. And Pankajanghri Prabhu was always there. I don't think he was there addressing the deities, because I'd see him in the japa time and everything. But he was always there at the last, 10 minutes or something, making sure everything was perfect, lining up all the garlands, because, they put so many garlands on Lord Nrsingadev. And he was always like very carefully fixing up everything and making everything exactly right. But he was very humble. He would always leave it to me then. He would never say, "Get out of here." That was, it was very nice. That was very close. And on these Kartik Parikram, then, we were very close. Sometimes we were the only speakers. So we were sharing, so much Gaur-Katha, looking things up, reading here and there. And so that was the most intimate time. Otherwise, they were always busy. I was always busy. So we weren't like together so much. But those are, of course, the best times, because there's nothing else going on. And so that's about
Thank
it.
you so much. Thank you
And
so
then,
much,
well, of
Maharaj.
course, on the Navadvip Parikama, I forgot again, the drama. I think you had that question later, but I don't know how many years, many, many, many years, we did the drama at Kolavecha Sridhar's house. And I think somebody put up pictures that I was always Kolavecha Sridhar, he was Gauranga Pankajanghri. Jananivas wasn't there as much because he started teaching Bhakti Shastra and all kinds of things. And so he wasn't always out there. He would come and go, but Pankajanghri would be there the whole time. So we always did that drama. And one of the best ones was one time he and Pankajanghri did that, and Jananivas did the drama. Kolavecha Sridhar and they did really, really good. It was amazing. synergy that they had and how they were really absorbed in the leelas. He was obviously really absorbed in the deities, but also in Mayapur Dham and Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. He was very, very, very learned. And they researched and, deeply into all kinds of scriptures about Lord Chaitanya. I don't recall them participating in the Shantipur festival at all. They might have been there, but I don't remember them being there, either one of them. And it was, at least on the stage program, and then the whole other time was chaos. So I wouldn't necessarily see everybody that's there. All right. So
Yes, Maharaj. My very next question, when you were just completing the pastimes of Navadvimal Parikrama, was immediately, please tell us about the dramas that you had. And you were just before that you answered that. So yes, we can never forget the wonderful dramas that used to take place in the house of Pallava Sridhar. And you yourself, Bhaktivedanta Narasimha Swami Maharaj, Janidas Prabhu, Pankajanghri Prabhu, His Holiness Bhakti Nityananda Maharaj, you were all constant in the drama. And it was such a pleasure for all the participants in the drama. And we all remember how funny Pankajanghri Prabhu used to be in the drama. He used to make a lot of fun, and he was actually a very humorous person. Could you please share something more about those days and those pastimes that you used to have?
Yeah, it was very spontaneous, So sometimes we'd really get off, we'd just, he would say different things as Lord Chaitanya that, we weren't expecting, and then we'd get into whole conversations. And, it was just very sweet, somehow or other that particular drama, I don't know, we always did that one. I did other dramas along the way with, Pancha Gaur, but that particular one was always Pankajanghri and myself. Sometimes others got in on it. So it was just, we got really absorbed in the mood, and he would be trying to catch me sometimes, with clever different talks, and I can't remember details, but those are the times you just do something off the wall. You just do it all of a sudden. Although we did it every year, it was never the same every year. It was never scripted. And that's the best way to have sadhu sangha. He was, he was very humble. He wasn't ever after any kind of position or anything. He had his service, and he was, like I said, even on the Prikrama when he wasn't, well, he's the head Pujari everywhere, so of course, so he's always conscientious of what's happening with the deities. And I just remember him always making sure there were coconuts and they were set really nicely and everything for going to tie, and they were offered long enough before they got passed around. And let's see what else.
As you said, the dramas are really spontaneous. We would never see you all practicing, but I think even right at that moment, you would decide who will play which role. It was right at that spot that you would decide.
Yeah, somehow. That's
it is, yeah.
That's the way it should be. That makes life, that's real life. We don't need everything like just scripted out and we're just, quoting something. We're just going by inspiration. We know the whole mood, and so we just try very hard to, we just did it. It wasn't like, it was a very relaxed and sweet time, I was trying to just remember something else.
So Maharaj, as you mentioned,
and he was always, whenever we did for Prabhupada's Guru Puja, Pankajanghri, I think it was, he was always there also for whoever is sannyasi or whoever's offering the puja and handing the different items and, helping along. He was always like that, really, sometimes giving a few hints or guidelines. I think it was Pankajanghri, I asked him one time, how are you supposed to offer the water when you do artik? He said, I think it's, I don't know, it's in the book. So I never got onto that very much because I didn't do a lot of deity worship.
Maharaj, you mentioned about one very beautiful point you repeated was how humble both the brothers were. They were very humble and they would not speak much or they would not try to come to the forefront much. Would like to describe a few more qualities of Prabhu that you liked very much or was very touching to you.
Well, humble is the most important quality. That's basically all Krishna wants from us. So they were definitely teaching by example. Everything they did was teaching by example. You never heard them like telling people what to do or something. They just did it, and dedicated and almost Chetra sannyas. For many years, they never left Mayapur. So that total humility, dedication to the deity, to the service, not interested in, other titles. There were devotees saying that they should be there was one proposal that we should only have 2 initiating gurus in ISKCON, just them. They weren't interested in that. But, so perseverance, humility, he was always, another thing he always did was helping any devotee when they were putting ashes in the Ganga, right? He was always the one they would go to. And that's not like the most blissful service. But he was, he had that humility. He wanted to help devotees. So he would do everything, the whole ceremonies. I think later, towards the end, they got other devotees down at the Ganga to it. But he would come there and he would all the thing, getting the ashes and mixing them with the Panchagavya and the whole trip and the mantras and, just completely service attitude in that respect. That's quite, but it's all just the humility, just wanted to serve devotees. And he was always happy, to let other devotees do service on the altar and engage people, managing all the pujaris. It's a big job. And then he did one of the founders of the academy where they're teaching deity worship, and he was right there teaching. And what impressed me about that course is the first thing I saw from it, they had some kind of a curriculum, but it was, what should your attitude be when you're serving the deities? It was more on that than details, on how many circles or what to do and this and that, but the more was on the consciousness that you should have for cooking, what you should have when you're dressing, what you should have. So, of course, both the brothers, they exemplified that. And their relationship with each other was very sublime. And with every devotee, they were friends with everybody. Best friend of everyone, is representing Krishna. So if you can squeeze some more out of me, I don't know. I just, I witnessed these things. I wasn't, right there. But for me, those dramas and then Sringadev Artik and when we were both just totally absorbed in Gorkata and these Kartik programs. Because then it was many hours. You know, wasn't it? We just stopped for a little while and 10 people are speaking. We would be speaking for quite a long time and detailed kind of stuff. And it was very, very enlivening, very educational. So it's you know, he's Mayapur. You know, when you think of Mayapur, you always think of them, Jayapataka and Pankajanghri, and then Radhamadava, maybe, you know, Panchatattva. So it'll be a strange thing to go to Mayapur when he's not there. It'll be a new experience. But then everybody's just remembering more and more, and that's very good. So many devotees had so much association, devotees who lived there, devotees who worked in the D department. Okay.
That was such a beautiful statement that when we think of Mayapur, we can think of Radha Madhav, Jayapataka Swami Maharaj, and Pankajanghri Prabhu. They are always there. When anyone
I don't know
thinks
who
of
you
Mayapur,
think of first. Almost first you think of them, you know.
yes.
The fixtures. Of course, Jayapataka Maharaj, wherever he goes, is Mayapur. Everybody thinks of Mayapur as soon as they see him.
As you mentioned, many devotees are thinking of the same thing, that how will it be when they come back to Mayapur and they see only one of the two brothers and they can't find the other. So thank you for joining with us, Maharaj.
Yeah, well, thank you for giving me the chance to remember him more.
We have come to the end of the session. Just if you could share any one most memorable pastime that you had with Prabhu, so that we can end this session.
I shared already, but you know, I just said again that the Kartik Parikrama, that was very, very sublime. You know, we were driving a lot. We were in the car together and talk about, I don't remember, we just talked about so many different things. I don't remember exactly, then we just be absorbed in the Gorkata. That's about it. And the Kirtans on Parikrama and the drama. You know, what more can we do that otherwise I just would see him everywhere. And also that, you know, and he was always chanting his rounds in the temple room in the morning, in spite of all that other stuff. And I thought it was him that talked about, you know, that when Lord Nrsingadev first came, everyone was afraid to worship Lord Nrsingadev. And I'm sure it was, some say maybe it was both of them, but I thought it was Pankajanghri was the first Pujari. They said, okay, you do it, you know, right?
Yeah, he was the first Pujari of Nrsingadev.
Yeah, he wasn't afraid of him, so he was very dedicated. So, of course, all the deities, you know, as they came one by one. First is just Radhamadava, then they got a shalagram, and then they got the small Panchatattva, and Sringadev, big Panchatattva. So he was absorbed in all that. And still completely friendly to every devotee who came. Anybody who wanted to ask him a question, he would take his time to answer. And he was down home. Somebody sent pictures of him at kids' birthday parties and stuff. And, you know, they were just like, they were brahmacharis. They didn't have any, you know, false ego about their status or anything. They're just servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. So it's a great example and something everybody should be remembering. All right. It's a great person to be remembering. So I thank you for the opportunity very much. I hope I can contribute something.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Maharaj. All, as you mentioned, all glories to His Grace, Pankajanghri Prabhu. And
Jai,
you mentioned the last
Prabhu ki jai. Mayapur Dham Ki Jai.
Yeah.
Gaur, I can only visit by virtual. You see my
Yes, background. That is one thing that struck me when I saw. I can see the cows, I can see the T.O.V.P dome. It looks so much in Mayapur.
That's the best view from across the Jalangi. That's the best view.
Yes.
Yeah. Then you can see what it really looks like. You know, some people, from up close, you can't understand what it is. You know, and that's when we sit back and think about other devotees. Also, if we're very close to them, we might not fully understand them until we look from a distance and see what they're really up to. Okay.
Yes, Maharaj.
Dhanyavad. Thank you very much.
Thank
Hare
you so much,
Krishna.
Maharaj. Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees, for joining us in this session. And please join us every Sunday, 7 p.m. for sessions glorifying His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu by different devotees who have had long association of His Grace Pankajanghri Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.